Yes, welcome to another video. If you're new, my name is Prashant and I'm the host of Tech Scene ZA, the coolest tech-related YouTube channel where we do mind-blowing projects, awesome reviews, as well as amazing unboxings. So, after I started this YouTube channel, as well as after I got myself a drone, if you missed me unboxing that, you can click up there in the YouTube cards. I've noticed a substantial decrease in free space on my personal computer. So what I could have done, like a normal person, is go ahead, buy an external storage device or an external hard drive and move my unwanted data to there and free up a lot of space on my personal computer. But that's not how we do it on Tech Scene ZA. So on today's video, we're going to be installing a network attached storage, or NAS. So, let's get the server. Let me explain you some specs. So, this is the Dell PowerEdge T710. And this is a commercial grade server. It comes with 8 hot swap drive bays, and it takes serial attached SCSI or SAS drives, and inside, underneath the hood, overview, as we can see, I have a NIC installed here, a network interface controller. It's a 2-port gigabit Ethernet card, and the system board has 4 gigabit Ethernets installed as well. I'm not sure if you can see so far, but there is a RAID card installed here, redundant array of independent disks card. And I'll explain that later. So, underneath here, we have our memory and our CPU. So, let's click that. So, the system board is a dual CPU system board. It has a dual Xeon E5520 quad-core processor installed. And it has 80 gigs of memory. So, 40 for this CPU and 40 for this CPU. And it is DDR3 error correction memory. So I think that's about it for the internals. Let me explain what we're going to do and let's get into it. So this is actually quite a powerful server, and you might think it's a bit overkill, but for the reasons that I'm going to use it, it actually isn't. So this, when I did get this, it came with 8 300 gig drives, and if you work it out, it only comes to about 1.8 terabytes worth of storage when you factor in RAID as well as some other stuff. So it wasn't enough storage for my need. So what I did was actually go ahead and get my hands on some 2 terabyte SAS drives, and the problem with that was, although they would work in this machine, the the bay cages aren't the same design. So the drives I got my hands on are these kind of cages, but the cages that they need to be are Dell cages. So I actually did go ahead and do one change to see if it'll work. And after I changed it, the RAID card did pick up the drive. And so now I have to go ahead and change all these drives to this kind of cages that will work with this machine. So let me do that and I'll catch you in a bit. So I did swap out the drives to the cages that would fit in here. And I'm not sure if I mentioned, this has an 8-port hot swap drive bay. So I'm going to be installing 6 drives at 2 terabytes each, which will give a capacity of 12 terabytes. But I'm actually going to set it up in RAID 5 for redundancy, because I am going to be storing a lot of my YouTube work on here, as well as media that is important. So just in case anything does happen, I want to have a fail-safe. So now that we have all the drives installed, we close this up and we can get into installing FreeNAS. So as I said, the operating system of choice is going to be FreeNAS, and it is free and it does have some customizability to it. So it is a lightweight operating system and doesn't require much storage space. So what I'm going to do is actually install it onto a USB drive. So we're going to need 2 USBs, one to install the operating system to, and one to hold the installation file actually. So let me go get that. So we are going to need a mouse, a keyboard. I have 2 USBs. The USB that I'm going to install the operating system to is a 4 gig USB. It's suggested that you use an 8 gig, but I decided to use a 4 gig because the only thing is going to be the operating system, and I'm going to have 2 virtual machines, one for gaming and one for my editing and video rendering. So let me get a keyboard. Okay, so I have a keyboard and a mouse, and as well as my screen. Let's hook everything up. Okay, so the USB that I'm going to install the operating system to, there is actually a port on the inside of the motherboard that I'm going to connect it to. Okay. There's nothing else really that I have to do with the inside of the case. So, I think let's connect up our power and switch on. So before I actually switch on the server, it is going to be quite noisy, and I am going to apologize for any audio issues after this. But I did do a test run with the server, make sure everything is good. So we're actually going to do a fresh install because I did mess up some of the settings. So here we go, switching it on. It is going to sound like a plane is taking off, but I'm sorry for that. So the first thing I'm going to configure is actually my RAID card. So RAID stands for Redundant Array of Independent Disks. So what it means is, it's multiple disks working together to form a larger disk. So if I put 4 disks together, it's going to be all 4 working in unison to form a larger disk. And the reason we use RAID is for redundancy. So as the name said, redundant. So it's to prevent failure. So if a drive actually fails, we don't lose all the data. So there's different forms of RAID. You have RAID 0, which is striping, RAID 1. So striping actually is writing across the drive. So if we have one piece of data, half of it is on drive A and half of it is drive B. RAID 1 is actually mirroring, where we have the data that's on drive A is the same on drive B. So they're exact copies. And then we also have RAID 5. So RAID 5 is actually a parity where it writes across. So if we have one piece of data, it's written half on A, half on B, and we have a third drive which actually contains a little bit of A and a little bit of B. So that if drive A failed, we can, from the parity, we can recreate drive A and we don't lose the entire environment. So that is what I'm going to be using, RAID 5, because I am going to be storing my YouTube videos on this, and I would hate to lose my YouTube videos as well as other memories and media that I'm going to store on this. So let's go ahead and wait for this to start up. Okay, so as I said, the first thing I'm going to be setting is the RAID card. So it has picked up my 6 drives, and what I'm going to do is actually configure a RAID level. So it is showing me 9.5 gigs of storage space, because the rest of the storage space is actually lost to the rest of the space is lost to parity. Okay, so it's going to build the actual virtual disk at the moment. Guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, get subscribed. Consider watching some of our other videos. After this video drops, I'll be in the comment section for the first half hour chatting to you guys. First person to comment will be given a shout out in next week's video. Shout out also goes out to Sinesh and Pillay for winning our keyboard giveaway in December.